Sunday morning. We want to welcome in Republican candidate and former Maryland Secretary of Labor and Commerce, Kelly Schulz, to the program. Good to see you here. We normally start these conversations with gubernatorial candidates with a very simple question. Why do you want to do this? It's a hard job.
Well, but it's an easy question. You know, I consider this campaign to be about opportunity. I was a 19-year-old college student, dropped out of school because I was pregnant, had 2 kids, got married, and spent the next 15 years of my life working really hard to be able to support the family, waited a lot of tables, tended a lot of bar. Came down to Maryland, I went back to school, finally graduated, the first person in my family to graduate at the age of 36 with a college degree. And Maryland continued to offer me those opportunities, and I continued to work hard. This campaign is about offering those same opportunities to Marylanders all across the state that deserve that opportunity to be able to exceed and excel.
Now, you saw some of the headlines there, the Democrats in the General Assembly overriding these videos. One of them had to do with abortion access. Another one had to do with family leave. As governor, are those bills that you would have vetoed as well?
Well, you know, listen, first of all, with the paid family leave, I'm supportive of paid family leave. The issue is the $1.6 billion price tag that comes along with it. And none of our neighboring states have that same type of tax. And this will be a tax on both the businesses and on the employees. And as that hardworking Marylander, I know how difficult it is right now for Marylanders to be able to even pay for the gas at the pump or to pay for groceries.
I want to ask you about that because one of the candidates on the Democratic side, the comptroller, Peter Franchot, has suggested extending this gas holiday that is in effect in Maryland right now, which is axed the 36-cent state gas tax, and it's also, you know, brought a little relief to the pump. That's going to expire on April 16th. But Democrats say they want to retract this holiday because it is impacting revenues. Where would you stand on this? Would you want to see this continue?
Well, I call this the inflation tax. What most Marylanders don't know is that in 2013, the gas tax was not only increased, but they connected it to the index, to the cost of living index. So it's connected to CPI. So Marylanders are the only states in the nation that has what we call the inflation tax. And as governor, I will repeal the inflation tax just like Governor Hogan repealed the rain tax his first year in office.
One of the things that lawmakers in Annapolis are faced with as they're about to wind up their session is the fact that there is a surplus in revenue right now, a somewhat unexpected. What would you do with that as governor? Would that go into more spending, or could Maryland taxpayers maybe see a rebate check or some kind of tax relief down the road?
Well, first of all, let's remember whose money the surplus actually is, and it's the taxpayers' money. So we want to be able to make sure that we address the tax issue with the taxpayers. And one thing that we were able to get out of this, and I think it's a great victory, we've been talking about the retirement tax reduction for years. Maryland's retirement tax and being able to retire in Maryland is hugely important for each and every one of us. Our retirees are the people that actually help to create our communities. They have that knowledge. And we want to be able to make sure that they can afford to live here and not have their pensions taxed and move to another state. We were able to do some of that this year. There's still a lot of work to do, but we can use some of that to give back to the taxpayers.
Obviously, when Governor Hogan was elected, he swam upstream politically in a big way because he was a Republican elected in a largely Democratic state. He was able to get reelected. What kind of Republican do you have to be in order to do what he did, and what kind of Republican are you that you're presenting to Maryland voters? Well,
I appreciate that. I'm a Kelly Schulz Republican. That's what I like to say.
Okay, so what is that?
When I was in the legislature back in 2013, and we were discussing yet another tax increase. It was under Martin O'Malley's leadership, another tax increase, and I voted against every single one. We were debating the gas tax, actually. And I was standing in the back of the chamber talking to one of my Democratic colleagues, and I said, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it?" Because I know that my constituents can't afford another tax increase. I know yours can't either. And the very simple and very sad answer was because they could. And it's because they could because there was no checks and balances. I'm going to be the type of governor that's going to provide checks and balances to the legislative actions to be able to have that conversation and bring a Marylander's voice into Annapolis.
Obviously, there's been a lot of spending over the pandemic. The pandemic's not going to go away no matter who the governor is. We are going to be dealing with this in one form or another for a while. Where do you stand on a lot of the restrictions that we have seen over the last couple of years, and also the granting of local jurisdictions the authority in their own areas to make these decisions?
Well, I've been very very clear throughout the entire campaign that I am opposed to vaccine mandates and I'm opposed to mask mandates. I think we have to focus on our economy as well and make sure that we can continue to move forward like we have for the last 7 years.
And as far as economically, the state is well positioned because maybe a lot of the federal institutions are in it. But this is a very competitive area. You know, Maryland lost out on the Amazon HQ headquarters. What do you have on your radar screen to make sure that the state is able to launch itself economically?
Well, the great thing about the last 7 years is that Maryland has positioned ourselves very, very proudly in this market. We were named the most improved state in the nation as far as business goes last year. I was very proud to be the Secretary of Commerce during that period of time. We're going to continue moving in that direction, and it has to take intentional actions.
She is Kelly Schulz. He is a candidate for Maryland governor on the Republican side of the ballot. We thank you so much for joining us live this Sunday morning. All right, coming up next here at 9 a.m., it is Fox News Sunday.